So it looks like we are ready to go here. And thank you so much for coming to this webinar. My name is David Thomas. I'm going to be showing you where people go wrong when they're looking for homes, and I'm going to show you how to fix that, the tools you should be using. I'm going to give you a couple really nice gifts to help you along the way, and then I'm going to show you what you can do to secure that home when you finally find a home you want, even in spite of a bidding war. And so thanks again. We're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to disappear here so that we can focus on the presentation. So, all right. Okay, so here's just a short overview of what we're going to be talking about here. And I really do like to get to the point. I don't want to waste anyone's time. I know that you're serious about this information, and I appreciate the opportunity to share it with you. So we'll just go through each section, and if you have any questions, please send me an email, and I'm happy to clarify or go over any specific needs that you have. The main point I want people to understand is that when they are out and they find that beautiful home that they want, there's a very good chance that somebody else is going to want that home too. And this is, it's something that we understand as just a fact of the matter in Southern California real estate, that it's a tough market for a buyer to get the home that they want because there's so much interest, especially when a good home comes to the market. But somehow we don't realize how real that really is until you finally get to the home that you really do want, and you realize that there's other people right there and they're making bids against your home. And it's at that point that people start asking very pertinent questions like, what are our chances of getting this home? And I take this very seriously, and I want you to know you're in the right place because I secure homes for my clients. Matter of fact, 70% of my business comes from securing homes for clients, and that is an exact opposite of every other agent I know, no matter how big their name is. 70% of their business in general is selling homes, in other words, listing homes for sale or marketing properties, but actually I'm on the other side. I help people secure homes. So this is what I do. I'm happy to list a home, obviously, but I find that to be, pretty straightforward. And the tough part for people is getting the home they want, because let's face it, how are you going to get someone to work with you instead of working with someone else, even or if, especially, they have a better offer than yours? And I actually have accomplished that many times over. It's even to the point where I expect people to say there's multiple offers. And I've secured, my highest number of homes secured in a row is 45 homes in a row. And I was beat out by a buyer who had actually served in the Navy with the seller on the same ship. So, but I don't know if you've heard this story on a previous recording or not, but I have very recently had a client, Eileen and Garrett, and we made an offer in a very competitive area of Claremont in the Village on a home, and there were multiple offers on it. And the listing agent called me and said, David, we have multiple offers and you're not the highest offer, but my clients like your clients and I like you. And so the highest offer is $725. If you're willing to come to $720, then you can have the home. Now that is pretty exciting, and I want to show you why and how I do that. I hear this a lot, or I sense this a lot from people at open houses. And I do all my prospecting from open houses. I'm not a person who bugs my family and friends, and I don't believe in knocking on doors or making cold calls. And and I don't buy leads online. I know someone who actually spends over $100,000 a year on buying Zillow leads, and I'll talk to you more about that. It's an amazing amount of money to spend on leads, but I prove my value to people who never knew me before, and they become not only my clients, but they become friends, and they're more than happy to talk to you about me as well. So I'm very comfortable with my references. But before we get to that level of relationship, this is something that I experience from people, because there's for a good reason. isn't it? I mean, there's a commercial that Zillow had online that just showed how, yeah, it's right here. This is all the information we need. And look at that. Now we're pre-approved, and let's share it with our friends and family. And here we are, we have the keys. But unfortunately, maybe it's like that in other areas of the country, but that's not all it takes to secure a home. I mean, to get any home, sure, there's a lot of homes out there, but when you find a home that you really want, I guarantee you, you're not the only one, and you're going to need more. You're going to need more than just a resource of inventory. And so this is my question to you. Where is your edge? When the bidding war starts or the auction comes into play, how do we stop that from happening in the first place? And I have done that. Matter of fact, I will come to a property later, and I think the slide will jog my memory, and I'll share that story with you. But you've seen this, haven't you? These words trending. This home is one of the top 10% most visited in the neighborhood this week. Look at that. Isn't that something? People really do. They tell you right up front, you're not alone. So the websites are trying to warn you. And it's just a fact. So that's an introduction to the subject. And of course, I have the solution, and it's worked very well for me, and I document it. So I'm a believer in documenting it. You know, I do everything I can to be transparent, whether it's with the videos I put out on my internet, the books that I write. I just put together a workbook for home buying because I believe in being educationally minded and transparent. I've done this for 14 years, and I'm going to secure a home if you want it. I'm going to do my level best, and that's for sure. And so my name is David Thomas. I just mentioned I wrote 2 books on how to buy and sell real estate, one focusing on sellers. I guarantee a minimum of 4%, that's such a conservative number, increase in the sales of the price if you do the things in this book. And but that is what that book is about. The book, How to Buy and Sell Real Estate, is just a general overview for someone who it's been a while or that's their first time looking to buy a house. And then I just now wrote a book. It's a workbook, actually, specifically for buying a home. But my wife and I have been married for 22 years. Everyone always marvels that we have quadruplets, and yep, we're busy, but we work it out, and this is how I provide for my family. And my kids get excited when I get a client, and and they're proud of what I do, and and that helps me to make sure that I fall asleep every night knowing that I've done my level best for you. So thank you for hearing me out on that, and let me show you where people go wrong. Open houses can actually cost you the home you want. And they seem so harmless. And I realize that it's like a retail experience for real estate. And there's nothing wrong. I want to say up front, nothing wrong with stopping in because it's convenient, it's open, that's nice. But when you are in the market to buy a home, it should not be your primary source of inventory. And you would not believe, but it actually is the primary source for a lot of people to tour homes. I have met a surprising number of people coming through open houses, and they specifically say that their real estate agent is having them go around to open houses, and then when they find one they like, their real estate agent will write an offer. And I just cannot think of a worse idea than that. And so, but even to casually look, I don't mind meeting my clients at an open house. It's important, and it makes a difference. But I'm going to show you how open houses can actually hurt you, and the alternative, which actually turns everything around and makes it better for you. So I was at an open house. I thought I would take a couple pictures, and this is just, it's such an environment that is not conducive to learning about your next home. You just don't need all the extra company and all the extra motives and activity. It's not an efficient use of your time. Even though it seems like it's convenient, it really is not efficient, because instead of let's say that instead of just stopping by a house, let's say that you intended to go out and look at open houses. Well, what if you were to intend to go out and look only at the homes that you have interest in buying, for example, or have interest in seeing? Even if you're a home seller, I believe in going out and making appointments to seeing homes that are comparable to yours so that you can get inside them. Never wait for it to be open. call it on your terms. So let's say that it's 2 o'clock on a Sunday afternoon, and you know that you're going to go see some open houses for a couple hours, and you know that you want a home that is going to be priced somewhere between 600 and 800,000 with at least 4 bedrooms. I can set up 3 or 4 houses like that. Why should you be stuck going out to see only what's available? I guarantee you there's homes that are available, but they're not available through open house, and you could have better use of your time. And you actually get less information. This one surprises people too, because the agent is right there. Unfortunately, there's 2 things going on. Number one, they represent the seller. And number 2, they often are not actually the listing agent. So when you go to an open house, the listing agent may not actually be hosting the open house. It's very common for someone else to be holding that house open for them. And then again, if they are actually the listing agent, they represent the seller. And you may not realize how big of a deal that is, but it actually is a very big deal. And hopefully we'll be able to show you some of that as you can see what the benefits are of working with your own agent as by the end of this class. And finally, there's less chance to secure the home. And I will go over that more next, but I can promise you that if you wait for the open house, you're going to miss it most likely. But even if it hasn't sold by the time you go to the open house, or you know going into it that they're going to be waiting until after the open house to review offers, you still have a higher chance of securing the offer by not waiting to see the home at open house. Again, that's not necessarily what I mean, but I really do believe that it should not be your primary source, and I want to show you what should be your primary source, and that is securing a private appointment for your tour. And this is why. It is an organized, efficient use of your time. I think we already went over that. It's a private, relaxing, and convenient experience. And boy, you have to realize that's true. And so many times I've seen people at open houses, they get to talking with each other, and that's nice, except when you don't realize that the person you're talking to has their own agenda, and they're trying to pull information out of everything they can. And they will leave the open house, or when someone leaves the open house, they'll continue talking about what they learned. And there's a competition here, and we have to respect that. I held an open house for one of my own listings, and I was holding it open, and actually we had 3 offers, and there were 3 people in the open house, or 3 couples rather. All 3 of them were the ones that had the offers on the house. So it was quite interesting watching them kind of all walk around each other. I don't think any of them realized that they had, they were in competition. They knew that there were multiple offers, but they didn't know that these were the people that they were bumping into. And where is this going? But everything turned out fine, and the house sold. But that's crazy. You're in competition all the way through, and you want to protect your best interests, and it's a little bit of a strategy. The good homes are often already sold before open houses even open, and this is true. And the house I'm going to show you later today, that came onto the market, I sent it to my client, told him, this looks like exactly what you were talking about. And he said, yep, looks really good. Let's go see it. He said at the private tour, he said, let's write an offer on this today. And so because he'd been working with me, that was a real fast process. And we had that done, and it was submitted later that day. And the listing agent said to me, David, thank you for this offer. It wasn't even a full price offer, but it was a strong offer. She appreciated it. It was a home in high demand in the Chaparral Elementary School District, 4 bedrooms and a swimming pool, nice floor plan. And they had multiple showings coming in. They had threats of offers coming in. And yet she says, we're just going to go ahead and work with you. She knew me. She liked everything about how I presented the offer. And like I said, there's a process to this. And she believed that my clients were going to stick through the escrow. And so it never made it to an open house. And that's pretty cool, but not cool if you're a home buyer waiting for an open house to see if that might be the one. You learn infinitely more about real estate in general, about the home specifically and about the options that you have in purchasing it. And this is because you're working with me, quite honestly, or if you're working with your own agent, whatever it is, the fact of the matter is you have a dedicated employee to a certain extent, right? You have somebody who is working on your behalf. So you say to me, David, could you tell me the history of this? Could you tell me what you think it's worth? Could you find out what kind of history this house has, or how serious they are about their price? You can learn about the house. Or we're walking around your house. You can say, David, what do you think about this water heater? What do you think about this furnace? Or does this look okay to you for the plumbing? And when we talk about things, remember, I attend inspections all year long, and I've been in hundreds of houses. So you have a resource in me. And whether it's the process of buying a house or just about real estate in general, you're learning more. And I hope you're starting to see how the benefits really add up. And mostly, you're here by yourself. And people really start to respect that and appreciate that when they experience a few of these private tours and they see people waiting outside that want to come in. And I hold them off. I say, you know what, this is our time. We've reserved this time, and we'll be done in just a second. And it seems like maybe that's a little standoffish, but it's not. It's a common courtesy, and my clients appreciate it because this is their time to be alone in the house and decide what they think about it and ask the questions that are pertinent. And there's just no sense in answering those questions in front of people who are also considering making an offer against you, right? So it's your edge. You receive extra information on home's value. Kind of went over that already. Easy for me to go back to my office and put together a market analysis. And then finally, a significantly better chance of securing the home. Now, the reason this is, let's say that there's an open house coming up on Sunday, but it's Thursday, and we decide to go ahead and make an offer on a house. And actually, that's what happened with this property on Lee Avenue that I'm coming up to here. And it was a Thursday. It would have been easy for the homeowner to say, we're going to look at all our offers after our open house. But we were in there when? Immediately, the first day, day zero on the market. So the very first day. And we made our offer that very same day. Do you think that made us look motivated? And this is what I was able to express to the agent. We've been looking for a long time. This is exactly the kind of home we wanted to buy. And so we stood out as a very serious buyer. If we would have waited, first of all, there had been other offers ahead of us, right? Or certainly alongside us. And if we would have only showed up at the open house, our motivation was hidden a little bit. We might really be passionate about the house, but we're able to let that passion show because we were on top of our game and we said right up front. Remember, our goal is not necessarily to buy the home just because we fall in love with it. I mean, ideally, that's the circumstance, but my number one goal is to secure the option for you to have it. Remember, you have 17 days to inspect a home and to change your mind. And that happens. I mean, some of those 45 homes I discussed were not homes that were purchased. They were homes that were secured. My clients went in and they said, you know what? I'm not going to buy this home after all. And that's fair game. That's fair game. We gave the house back to the listing agent and they put it back on the market. They sold it to someone else. They're just fine. But my point is that we had the first right of refusal. And that first right of refusal is a big deal. So, of course, we don't want to go out just securing homes left and right and trying to decide later if we want it. The idea is that you really do want it. But the point is that better to make a strong statement that this is really important to you because, like I said, if it's a beautiful home, it's a home in demand, you can count on not being the only person asking for the privilege of having an opportunity to buy that house. And again, if you don't already know that, you have a 17-day, if your contract's written correctly, you should have 17 days to do your physical inspection before removing your contingencies. Have you ever had a real estate agent somehow, even though you'd have no idea how, but they're calling you on your cell phone? So there's a reason for that. You're actually worth money. You're actually worth money to real estate agents, and they pay for you, and Zillow and Realtor.com, Trulia, they all pitch in, and it is a $5.4 billion industry. So that's what you're worth. How much are you worth as a sales lead? Well, all of you together are worth $5.4 billion. Independently, anywhere from $50 on up. And like I said, there are agents who will buy you guys like crazy. And it's the question of whether or not you're an exclusive lead or whether you're a shared lead. And so this is why it could happen that you're getting multiple phone calls, and it happens often for people about 10 o'clock at night. They see a house and they figure, you know what, I just want a little more information on that. So you fill out the information and you realize you can't get the information without putting the phone number in. And you think to yourself, well, I wasn't planning on this, but I'm going to go ahead and just do that. And yeah, I expect to get a call. And then you get 2 calls. And neither of them are the listing agent. Surprise. And they don't know any more about the house than you do, and they're going to have to find out. And it is very common for people to pay $30,000 and up to secure leads. And to me, that's just, I don't know, I don't really feel as enthusiastic about my agent if they had to pay for me like a lottery ticket. You know, it doesn't feel quite the same as someone proving to me how they're going to do the job. And that's why, of course, I put this together, to just really try to be transparent about what I do. But there it is. Now you know. So this is the house I've been referencing, 404 Lee Avenue. And a lot of people would say to me, David, could you tell me about that house? We want to see it. We see it. It's for sale. And I would tell them, I'm sorry, that's not for sale. Actually, it's sold. And they said, no, I saw it on Zillow, or I saw it on, and they would tell me about where they saw it. And I had to cut the pictures out because I didn't want to, just to protect the innocent, right? So I had to take the names out associated with it and take the websites off, but they're all the popular websites. I have 4 websites to show you. And it was advertised as active, but in fact, it was pending. So look at, if you can notice one thing, look at my screen down there, August 24th. And then look at the other one, August 24th. One is for sale, the other is pending, same address. And I would tell them, I'm sorry, I know for a fact it's sold because I'm the one who sold it. So, and it's not, if you read this email, look what it says. The file is complete. So it's not just sold, it's very sold. As a matter of fact, we're ready to close. And so here's just 2 more websites. One saying that it's for sale and another one saying that it's pending. And my point here is that 84% accuracy is what you can count on. And it doesn't matter if it's Realtor.com, which is powered by the National Association of Realtors. They're owned by the National Association of Realtors. You would think that an organization like that would have more accurate data, or Trulia, or Zillow, or even IDX feeds, which would be sites like Remax, and I'm with Remax, or Sotheby's, or Coldwell Banker, Century 21, or even Redfin. People love Redfin. I like Redfin. I like how they search for the school districts, but quite honestly, it's not accurate. And no site will be accurate. They will all be 84%. And you would say, well, you know, that sounds low, but it always feels like it's more accurate than that. And I also have people say, I see houses that are available on Zillow, but they're not showing up on the MLS. And there's reasons for that. And that's why you want to have an agent who can look deeply into those situations. I've never had someone toss an address to me that I could not get deeply into the situation for them, and they would appreciate that much more than if they were just stare at the website and wonder, what's the truth about this? So I want to show you the best way to search for real estate. And I want to talk about sites that have 100% accuracy. And here we go. The first one is for private and direct access to the multiple listing service. Now that's what I use. This is what a real estate agent uses. In order to do any better than this access that we're talking about here, you would need to have a real estate license. What's awesome about this website is this is the only website that I'm aware of. And I've asked other real estate agents, other brokerages. Nobody seems to know about this. I don't know why. But I ask them, I say, do you know of any website that a client can look for closed listings, not just active, not active or pending, not active or backup offer, but closed, withdrawn, on hold, canceled? Can you find, and they all say, no, that's not possible. Well, I have a solution for you that is possible, and it's a private database. You can't just sign up for it on your own. I have to get you in there, and that's what this one is. I hope you're seeing the value of that, because whether you're buying or selling a house, having access to closed listings is really, really important. That same website has a companion on-the-go version. So the on-the-go version does not have the closed listings. It just has the active listings. And so these two databases together make up what I would say are the darn near 100%. They're at 96% accuracy. If you're willing to say every 15 minutes, I'll call it 100%, then that's what it would be. Every 15 minutes, it's perfectly in sync with the MLS, but it's updated every 15 minutes. And so because of that, and because the size and scope of the area that's covered by the multiple listing service, it's at 96%. Still a screaming better number than 84%. And then finally, the direct portal to the multiple listing service. This is literally in sync with the same data that I have. And so the only difference between what you get access to and what I get access to is this portal access is active listings only. And so, but I'm going to show you how there is a harmony of advantages for you. They work together. And I actually have a training session on these, and it's a 3-part series, because it's not enough just to have a source, but if you don't take full advantage of it, then you're missing out on the opportunities. And this direct portal is just such a wonderful opportunity. And I send listings to people through it quite often, and they use it a little, but they never take full advantage of it. And that's why I put together the extra training. This is not that training. This is just showing you, like I said, how you should be going about searching for a home. But then I do have the 3 training sessions for you as well. So real easy to get started up with these, and I will show you more about that later as well. And so next I want to start talking about how you're going to get your edge. And I really believe in education and resources. And when something's important to me, the resource that matters the most is another professional. And I like to have a relationship with that professional so I can bug them with a lot of questions, especially if I know that at the end of this transaction, they're going to be compensated. And by the way, if you haven't been aware, I'm paid. I'm paid for my work, but I'm not paid by you. I'm not paid out of your proceeds of the sale. I'm paid by the listing agent. All listing agents put together their listing packet with their sellers. The sellers sign an agreement and they set aside the money for me, and you don't have to pay for my services. So what I'm trying to say is that I want to have a professional who's on my side, who is available and is a resource. And that's why I put these things together. And so for you as a resource in the Head Start Home Buying Workbook, and if you see that 10-minute preview, that's a free gift I have for you today. Make sure to go over how you can get that. And I just have a lot of different evaluators, templates, checklists, step-by-step, how to do this, how to do that, certainly keeping yourself organized. And it's a workbook. I put it together as a workbook, not just a book. And so whether it's keeping your kids busy with coloring pages or suggestions on what to do at different ages, or how to appraise a house, how to write a letter to the seller, taking care of organizing all your utilities, and putting together a checklist that you actually will want to use. Sometimes these checklists can get so tedious, and I've put these together because I want them to be something that you enjoy using, and there's a bent towards all this to make it something that works for you. So these are the free gifts I have for you. access to Listing Book, which is the mobile app and also the database that we discussed earlier, where you have access to all the closed listings. And you could write this down, davidthomas.listingbook.com, and you can go through the process there. If you do it through that source, make sure you put in your phone number as well, because that's how you get it texted. They will text the link to open the app on your phone or your mobile device through the phone number. It goes to they text it to you. It must be some way of knowing they have your permission or something of that nature. And again, I have a whole process on how to upload this, how to start it, how to use it. And then this 10-minute preview is something that I give to everybody who comes to my open houses. I call it a walkthrough template now. But what it is just when you go through a home, you see what they show you on the flyer, but they never seem to mention is the wireless signal strong, or they don't seem to remind you that that's a power line back there, or looking at the ceilings if they're textured, or if there's noise and that kind of thing. And these houses, they kind of they start to run together a little bit. And so I made this preview sheet so that when you are in a house, you have a copy of this with you, write the address up at the top, you keep it right next to the flyer, and you can start to organize your search. And it's not an inspection, but it just helps you to remember the home, and that's what it's about. And then of course, remember, Listing Book on the Go is a mobile app, and the Listing Book data service down at the bottom is the corresponding desktop website that you get access to, and they communicate to each other. So if you have a favorite listing you see out with your mobile device, you can mark it as a favorite and it'll show up on your website. And again, I'll show you all that in the training sessions, but having access to closed listings and canceled listings, it really goes a long distance for you, whether you're buying or selling. One of the things I like to do is let people know what their money would have bought, what else it could buy. When you're thinking of buying a house and say you're looking at $675,000, and let's just say arguably it's in the city of Claremont and it has certain features, but my point is, well, it's also at $675,000. So let's see what else you could have bought over the past year. We can look and see, and you can start to get a real feel for certainly where the market is going, but also just what kind of value is in this home you're buying right now, because you can see what money has purchased. You can see it with the pendings, the actives, and also the closed. It changes your perspective, and it's a perspective that, quite honestly, is not available to you at 11 o'clock at night, or whenever it is that you're kind of just doing your own thinking and deep research. What an awesome resource that is. It really is. It's something that I would want if I were a consumer without my real estate license. And so one of the things I really believe in, if you can't tell already, is communication and education. And so I believe in sitting down, and it's worth my time to share with you what it is that I do, how I do it, and how you can secure a home and just really take charge of your home search. And so whether it's getting organized and prepared, I believe in writing an offer up front. Let's just write an offer. Whether it has an actual address with it or not, we're not going to submit it to anybody. It's just by going through the process of writing an offer, you start to realize what's going on, understanding the forms, and you're ready. And it helps take the tension out of the air, and it also helps you to see how you're going to write an offer on this house as opposed to an offer on that house. There's different contingencies, there's different, and just the more questions that come up, even the most savvy home buyers who've made multiple purchases, when they come and sit down with me to write contracts, they have questions every time. I've never had a client, it doesn't matter if they are a strong investor paying cash and they do it for a living, they will still sit down and ask pertinent questions to me during this time. So I guarantee you, you're going to learn something from this, and it's worth your time. But financing, it's another part of the Head Start book I really like. There's a good educational section in there on how to get your loan officer and how to go about that and why you need to take that extra step. I'm actually in an escrow right now, and my client, we have really had a time with this lender. Well, she is a great person. I love my client. Okay. But, they were all set up with a lender who was someone who I said, this is a person I trust and I like. And he said, yep, it's all good. But they met a lender who helped them on a past transaction. And he said, you know what, I can beat that interest rate. And so he did. He beat the interest rate by 1/8 of a point. And they said, you know what, that's good. We appreciate all the work that so-and-so has done, but we just really want to, make the best decision for ourselves. And they went with this guy. And in the past, he provided, he delivered. There were no problems, but this time he had all kinds of problems. And as a matter of fact, we were waiting on him to get the contingencies released and we're way out of contract at this point. And the listing agent's going ballistic. And so you need to have an agent who can help soothe through these things and stand up for your rights and hold things together. It would be easy to see how this would fall apart. And thank God for these guys. I had not allowed their contingencies released because there's just not enough has been done. And I could sense it in this guy, this lender that is. And I started to say, you know what? I not only want formal loan approval, but I want to see the conditions of that formal loan approval. And he says, well, I normally don't need to give that. I said, but this time I do. If I'm going to have these people remove their loan contingencies, this listing agent is going crazy. I mean, on a scale of 1 to 10, she's like a 12 because she also owns the property. So she's screaming, she's losing money left and right. And my clients are really trying to hold it together and own this home. And this lender who started out, they're in sales. Remember, they're in sales. And he walked into this opportunity with his clients now, and he really nearly could not perform. And so thank God it's coming together. But I'll tell you what, you want to make sure that you understand your financing options and know which way to go and which way not to go when it comes to your financing. It is very much a common story that lenders can ruin transactions for their buyers and even cost them money. Now, it won't cost my clients money because I protect their best interest all the way through. But you need to know that it's a bigger game out there than just searching for a house on Zillow. And so then in the consultation, we go over the process, talk about what can happen, and then how to secure your home. And for this, I have an offer checklist in my Head Start workbook, but all the things that I do and that I need you to do, or not need you, but I think is a good idea for you to do to really increase the chances of securing your home. I don't put that information just out into a workbook because, quite honestly, it's proprietary and it means a lot to me. It's important to me, and I want to share that with you one-on-one. And if you want to get together with me, I will show you how you can secure a home in nearly any circumstance. Now, you got to know that it's true that there's not a 100% ironclad, never lose guarantee when it comes to securing a home in an area where people are willing to, sight unseen, pay full cash, $50,000 plus over asking, with no contingencies. But people think that that's what they're up against on a regular basis. It's not true. Generally speaking, that's not the case. It's out there, but it's generally not the case. And you can really go a long distance to secure that home for yourself. And I have all the strategies in a written down format, what you need to do, what I need to do. And I want to share that with you. And this is where I would share that with you, is at that consultation. But if you want to just know what you need to put an offer together, that's in the Head Start home buying workbook. Quite honestly, that will put you at least heads and tails above most of your competition anyway, because I'm always amazed when people make offers on my property and, they don't have a pre-approval letter. They don't have, quite a bit, and yet they're being demanding even. And I'm thinking to myself, your client is trusting you to secure this home and listen to your behavior, and you have not organized anything on their behalf. So crazy. Your representation is huge. So finally, we have just the strategies. It's not just having the tools, but it's knowing how to go about it, and then having a resource and hopefully a friend. And I'd like to think of my clients as friends. They're important to me. I don't disappear after the escrow closes, I'm around. They have my cell phone number, and from time to time, I want to know, how's life treating you, and that kind of thing. I don't bug my clients for more clients either. You can ask them that too. They just know that I'm a resource. If they're having concerns, I have the contractors, and I'm there for them. And what can I say? It's what I do. So this I'm describing is what I put together in what I call a home shopper program, or smart home shopper program. And the reason I put this together is a lot of times people, they like those kinds of things that I've just discussed. There's obvious benefits, but at the same time, they're thinking, I just didn't know if I'm ready to commit to a real estate agent and that kind of thing, because they're not sure if they're wasting time and all that. But the truth is that you're not. It's good business for me to meet with a person and show them what I can do, because if nothing else, it allows you to be educated. And when you are enthusiastic about something, you're likely to share it with somebody else. And so this is also how I get my business, from people who just call me out of the blue. David, I appreciate hearing about you through so-and-so, and I'd like to talk to you about buying a house. And so that's the best compliment, obviously. So that home shopper program is some of the things that I'm talking about for free here. Access to all this, but also more than access to that, but access to me through these things to be your ongoing resource. And the books, specifically this Head Start workbook, which I really am proud of and excited to bring out to everybody. I just now finished it this year. And then these are the other books, How to Buy and Sell Real Estate, I wrote a couple of years ago. And last year I wrote that book, How to Get Buyers to Fall in Your Love. This is a small write-up I had in the Claremont Courier. So then we have the consultation. Sit down and make sure that you have all the understanding that you need. So here it is. This is the Smart Home Shopper program. I really think it's something that you will enjoy. I know that I enjoy putting it together. I find it to be, you can never have too many resources. And I think what's different about my books, and especially my workbook, is that it's written from a person from a local perspective who practices real estate in the marketplace that you're looking to buy a home. We see advice all the time online. Quite honestly, if you haven't got the sense yet, I really feel that people who are dependent online are behind the ball. There's a real sense of enthusiasm at the beginning, but at the beginning, it doesn't really count. It's fun for just looking, but when you get serious, you need to let go of the fun resources online like Zillow and some of the research, which, I'm not against someone doing independent research. I'm all for that. I'm always learning too. But you want to latch on to a professional who can definitely be your resource and your employee. Really, I answer to you. And so that's what it's all about. And this is as transparent as I can make it about what I do, how I do it. And quite honestly, I do it pretty well. I'm pretty proud of my efforts. I take it seriously. I think you can see that. And so the Smart Home Shopper program, we have all the books that I wrote, the consultation series, the consultation. I have a consultation series, video series as well. And I also have a 3-part training series on how to use these search engines as a video. What do you call that? A webinar. So I have a replay of those webinars. But I take education very seriously, and I take finding homes very seriously for my clients. And I hope that this is something you'll be considering. Okay, so thank you for watching this training session, and I really hope to hear from you. And happy home searching. Thanks again.